Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to our last official session before the closing of the EduPassions Conference. We thank you all for being here on this ride with us, this very first journey together. So we definitely have a treat for you this session. So this is Passion Pitches Round 2. So just to tell you a little bit how it goes, we've already prepped our presenters, but they're going to have 5 minutes each to tell us about their passions. So they're going to pitch their passions to us, and we have our handy dandy technology, aka iPhone, to time them and just let them know when the 5 minutes is there. So definitely we're so super excited to hear all these great passion pitches. So just to tell you a little bit about our presenters, and they will share their stories more with you in just a moment. But we are going to have Jennifer Casatad talk about celebrating student digital leadership. You can follow her at jcasatad on Twitter. We're going to have Fabiana Casella talk about taking risks, how that benefits students. So you can follow her on Twitter at Fabiana L. Casella. We also have Marijana, who's going to be talking to us about fun formative assessment. So you can follow her on Twitter at MSCRO1. And last and certainly not least, we have Cassie Reeder, who is going to be talking to us about how social media can change your life. So you can follow her on Twitter at Reader_Cassie. So we are going to go in that order. So as Jennifer preps her slides so she gets ready to screen share with us. So go ahead and pull up your slides for us, please, Jennifer. Just wanted to tell you right now that we have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 countries represented right now. We have Marijana is in Croatia, Jennifer is in Canada, Fabiana is in Argentina, and Cassie, Shelley, and I are in the United States. So this is just super cool and just speaks to the power of technology as a tool for connection. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic over to Jennifer.
So hi everyone, and you can see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm Jennifer Casatad, and thank you for that introduction, and I'm very excited to be here with everyone. I am starting a new job as a teacher librarian, and before that I was a literacy consultant for the York Catholic District School Board in Ontario, Canada. And I also was involved in a district-wide initiative to bring in technology-enabled learning into classrooms. So I wear all those hats, and my biggest passion as a result of that learning and those experiences is that we need to empower and celebrate student digital leaders. And I say digital leaders because, well, you'll see when we talk about the definition of what it is, but I don't think that enough students know how to leverage social media for learning. So this is what I'm passionate about. The reason I'm passionate about this is not just because I'm an educator, but I'm a mom. And I see my kids go to school and use social media to connect with one another and to do fun things, and I'm in those spaces with them. But I've never, ever seen them use social media or technology in their classes for learning, or I see it very seldomly. And I think that that's really kind of tragic, and I think that we need to change that. And so what does digital leadership mean? I borrow the definition from George Couros, and he begins to talk about digital leadership a long time ago, and he defines it as using the vast reach of technology, especially the use of social media, to improve the lives, well-being, and circumstances of others. And if you take a look at that definition in and of itself, it's almost counterintuitive to what we think of social media. And I'm sure Cassie's going to talk about this later. But the idea here is that social media can and should be used for good. And we know that every time you use anything online, you are creating a digital footprint of some sort. Well, increasingly, colleges and universities and employers are looking at kids' social footprints. And so I knew that for sure when my daughter was asked last summer. She was asked the question by an employer, what social media are you on? And if I looked there, what would I learn about you? And like I said before, my kid uses social media, but she uses it primarily for social things. So she had a fairly decent answer. She's a smart kid, but she didn't have an excellent answer. And so the question is why? How can we help kids create a better answer. And so the key to that is to help them develop, I think, their passions. And when I think of my own daughter, she wanted to have a YouTube channel, and I told her she couldn't have her name on it. And she wanted to do a vlog of one of our trips. And I told her she couldn't have her name on it. So we really need to rethink the way we think about students using their full names for some of the awesome things that they're doing. And I know as a mom, that really jarred me, because I know that I probably didn't encourage her as much as I could have. And so when you take a look at the way in which in our schools we look at social media, it's always in this negative, you can't do that. Right? You can't use cell phones in class, most people say. You can't use Facebook. You can't use Twitter. You can't use, et cetera, et cetera. So what can we do? Maybe if we reshift the narrative a little bit, we'll have better success. So I put together a blog post after this experience, and the amazing Sylvia Duckworth visualized it here. And so there was a dichotomy, right? So we in education talk about kids being good digital citizens, and so being appropriate online and making sure that if someone is inappropriate that we're we're reporting it and giving credit, and those are all really good things, but those are just the minimum of what we should be doing. And I want you to consider this quote for a second. Don't ask kids what they want to be when they grow up. I believe age is just a number. I believe any child is capable of great actions and can touch the lives of others regardless of her age. Now, who do you think said this? 11-year-old Ishita Katyal. And so when you think about the fact that we are connected educators, I think we need to move beyond the digital citizenship piece. I think we need to really promote digital leadership in our schools. We need to ask kids to begin to use social media to learn and share learning, to empower others with no voice, to address societal inequality, to promote important causes, and generally just to be a more positive influence on others. And we need to guide them to do that. We need to work with them to do that. They can't be expected to learn this stuff on their own. And so George Curls led me to, I started to become really passionate about finding these kids. Who are they? What are they doing? So George led me to Jeremiah Anthony. Oh no, I'm not ready. I'm just going to go quickly. So these are the kids that I have found who are doing amazing things. This is Joshua, who last year was the keynote for this. This is Kieran, who with his mom is creating DigSit Kids. These are incredible, incredible kids. There are so many things that we can do to encourage digital leadership in our schools. Using technology, connecting our students, giving our students a voice as often as we can, talking to parents about how necessary this is, taking ideas, helping them find their passions. Here is a link to a doc. I'd love for you, if you know any of these kids who are using social media, leveraging social media for good, please, please contribute to this doc. And look for my book, which will be published in the spring on this topic. That's how passionate I am about it. You can find more information at jcassatodd.com, and just ask yourself, how will you help your own students to become digital leaders?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing your passion with us. We definitely enjoyed hearing it. So next we're going to pass the mic to Fabiana. So Fabiana, if you could please screen share, and we're definitely looking forward to hearing more about your passion. So definitely that's going to be awesome. Oh, and also please make sure to unmute your mic. All right.
Yes, unmute now. Yes, great.
All right, you look good to go.
Okay, good. Hold on. Yes, here I am. Well, I'm very pleased. I'm so honored to be here, and I want to thank you, thank Sarah and Shelley for giving me some room. here and be surrounded by all these teachers and educators. I cannot stop. My mind keeps working all the time. I'm an English teacher in Argentina, if you read something about me. And I used to work here in Argentina. I worked in Argentina and I worked in the United States. 2011, since I came back from the States to Argentina, I was totally blocked. In 2013, I had the miracle of dreaming of meeting Shelley and online, and what I did was to join the 30 Goal Challenge. So I decided to leave my comfort zone. Imagine that I live in a country where technology is not a tool in most schools. I live in a big city in Buenos Aires, but technology is not part of our daily life at school. And so I had to incorporate, I had to innovate something, and I needed some PD I got daily while teaching in the States. So joining the 30 Goal Challenge group and starting challenging myself and others all the time or every month was really what really saved me. I know maybe most of you have heard this before, but it's the way it is. Well, I'm so far away from everything that I have no way to innovate. Here we have cell phones in the classrooms because my students have wonderful cell phones, and that's the only device we use if I can. If we have data, enough data, I try to go to, I'm so far away, that's what I said before, from everything here down in Buenos Aires that I couldn't even make it to ISTE, ISTE 2016, but I'm so glad Shelley and Sarah decided to make it live, and I watched everything on YouTube. What were my steps? They were baby steps, and this is my baby. And since she was born and we came back to Argentina, I've been here trying to push myself forward and not backwards, because everything here tries to stop teachers from doing whatever we do. We are usually out of internet. We had power. Power was down for many hours, and so I finally found my path, and that was to have my laptop connected and my phone. So I invested in that, and well, all this. My passion started with the 30 goals and group on Facebook, and then I started joining the rest of social media. So I'm so glad Jennifer and Cassie, well, Jennifer already talked about it, and Cassie is going to address that, and I have heard about it before. I'm so thankful for that. If it is used with good means, it's wonderful. So everything was inspiration, motivations, and I got all the support, and I felt that everybody in the group believed in me, and I got a lot of encouragement. So this is all I try to transmit to my students every day. I'm really enthusiastic every day, so I try to be contagious. Even though they are at school and they are taking a foreign language, it's a school. Nobody likes school. Nobody likes going to school. I mean, not even the best student in the world wants to go to school, because they have to do boring things, and I want to do fun things in my class. We embarked on this different projects with different teachers from around the world. One of the teachers from Greece invited us to go on air, and then we had some virtual exchange. Yes, I'm finishing. And I did some Skype and sort of weird Skype sharing, asynchronous communication with some teachers in the United States and their classes in Spanish and in English. So all the technology I wanted to use, well, it's becoming alive. And you see, I tried to put together my all my work on a Padlet like this one, for example, where students use their cell phones in the classroom, and then I try to upload all their work. And I think that that's it. So no technology with some technology. I mean, the good thing is that I try to do everything my students want to do and I need to do because of the school, what the school asked me to do, and that's it. There's nothing more that I can say.
Fantastic, Fabiana. Thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. So right now, we're going to go ahead and pass the mic to Marijana, who's going to share her screen with us and tell us about her passion as well. And we know it's very late in Croatia, so thank you so much for staying up with us and telling us about your passion. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you right now.
Okay, had to go back to unmute myself. I hope you can see my slides now.
Yep, they are loading.
Yeah, okay,
and
good,
there
thank
they
you.
are.
So I think the previous speakers, both Fabiana and Jennifer, had the things that they have been talking about is actually something that is also a passion for me as well. Being a mom of two sons, not two girls, but two sons, and also a teacher mentor, and I am working in Croatia in the secondary school for the past 15 years and trying to implement technology into my lessons, into my classes, and into my life, actually. This has turned out to be the biggest passion. And then somehow, as the life is as the life is changing, as you are trying to learn new things, at the moment the passion that I'm mainly involved would be like the formative assessment or formative assessment tools or any other kinds of formative assessments. I'm not going to talk about much about formative assessments, and we had really fantastic talk about assessment in general by Kim in the previous sessions. But what I love to do is that I found this interesting comic that for assessment is something we want to increase the quality. For evaluation is just to judge the quality. And what Jennifer also mentioned is give our students to express themselves, whether that is through some kind of ongoing feedback through quizzes or comics or through maybe screen sharing or making YouTube videos, is something that we should assess. And Kim also mentioned that. The only problem is somehow we don't know how to do them. Now, where is the fun in the assessment? Well, first of all, when I was introduced to some of the online assessment tools like Kahoot and Socrative, I knew that this would definitely work in my classroom because many of my students didn't perform well in English lessons. Not all. I have those great students who are improving, who speak very well, but then you have also the beginners. So I, in a way, try to introduce some digital tools and trying to motivate them to, in a way, compete, to gamify the learning, and also to see where did they get stuck and how we can improve in getting better. So the first thing is for me is to combine. You don't need to, or it's not very good always to use digital tools or only traditional ones, because our school is trying to become more e-oriented. We are e-school. We get Wi-Fi in our school, and now we are even encouraged to use more and more apps. And even though we didn't have apps or Wi-Fi in my school before, I was trying to, I would say, tell my students, okay, bring your mobile phones. We are going to use somehow our 3G or 4G mobile phones networks, or we were trying to share the internet, or at least one or two mobiles. I know, remember Fabiana did a similar thing, and just to practice. To practice learning, and this tend to show that interest in learning English and also in improving. Those things are even of great interest for me, because we have been doing some kind of research, because I noticed through 2 or 3 years of using Kahoot, Socrative, and other of these quizzes that some students are not even they love it, but somehow they are having some negative attitude towards it. And we even did attitude research with my colleague from psychology, where we noticed that students told us it's fun, it's interesting, but I don't know if I would like to be graded like this. So there are still positive and negative sides to it, but definitely they will improve your learning. On the other side, I sometimes don't use them too much, because students get bored with them. So I noticed that when I'm playing with my sons with other board games or traditional games, I get the idea of making maybe some kind of, let's say, formative assessment quizzes. For instance, alias was the idea of the game. When we are revising vocabulary or even grammar or phrasal verbs, I divide them into groups, and then I put them vocabulary we have done, and then they are trying to guess as quickly as possible, as the alias game it is. So you just put them some kind of phrasal verbs, speak up, talk about, or I don't know, on the tip of my tongue, and they need to guess it, and in a way they are trying to use the vocabulary we have been learning, and trying to understand better what we have done so far. So let's try to combine, and let's try to imagine it. And I know that great teachers are always trying to do new things and trying to push themselves through the limits, and sometimes are not always satisfied. But these assessments can be done with posters and comics and creators. And the last slide, this is how my students usually enjoy. The last slide is that I found assessment techniques are only as limited as the teacher imagination. So I hope you're trying to be imaginative always. And I really don't know who said this, but I found it online in one of the links. And that's it. That's my passion so far. Thank you.
All right, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Marijana, for sharing your passion with us.
Did I stop sharing? Okay.
Yes, you did. You did.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yay.
So right now we are going to move to Cassie. So Cassie, if you could please share your slides with us, and we look forward to hearing your passion. All right. Fantastic. We see them, and you are all set.
Okay, I'm going to try to time myself so I don't go too long here. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this in just a second, but just to put this out there so you can kind of read a little bit more about me on my little webpage thing that Sarah and Shelly have set up. But I am one of the organizers of EdCamp Global and EdCamp Global Classrooms, and that's where this passion pitch kind of stems from. So it's about finding your people with social media, and it's funny because I actually met Sarah and Fabiana through EdCamp Global, and pretty much everybody in this group, you know, I'm connected with you one way or another through social media, obviously, because the only one of you that I've ever met in person was Sarah. So that does come from social media connections, which is what I'm talking about. So EdCamp Global was just a big online conference we did, and I just wanted to share a couple of things that we received, statements we received after the one we did this summer. So this one said, "Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is a success. We are EdCamp Global." And this is another one. "So happy with people I have had conversations with and on common ground with. What a great day of connecting and learning." This says, "Surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher." And then it is important to be connected and grow our PLN so that we can learn from each other as a family. And then this person's goal was to get more people using social media in 2016. So PLN is a word that you probably hear a lot if you're on social media, and some people are like, well, what does that mean? I guess I just kind of assume that people know what it means, but it's basically a personalized learning network. They're the people who get it and they get you. So they're people that you surround yourself with who have the same ideals, and you connect with them to learn more and bounce ideas off of them and things like that. So I actually forgot, I gotta go back here, sorry. I'm actually using some resources from Kids Deserve It, which is an amazing book. So I just wanted to put that out there. Some of the ideas that I'm pulling kind of came from that book. So in chapter 3 of that book, it's all about innovating and being different. And one of the things I really liked is that it mentioned that we have to be our students' social media guides and show them how to use the tools wisely. And I know that Jennifer mentioned it, and Fabiana also mentioned that we've got to show our students how to use these tools correctly. And as teachers, we kind of have to come to our students' level, because if we're not putting these social media tools in our classroom or trying to relate them or use them in our teaching with our students, that's where they are. So we kind of have to meet them there. So I think that it's really important to have your students using them, as Jennifer and Fabiana mentioned, but I kind of want to talk about using them as an educator and as just an adult. I think that social media integration benefits students but also adults. And I do know within my job, I'm seeing this a lot with teachers. They're like, no, I'm not going to do this. It's social media, that's bad. There's so many bad things out there, but we can't accept no, because we're missing out on so many learning opportunities. Whenever we say no, we're not going to use it. And this is another quote from the book that I really liked. When you choose to innovate and be unique, you will experience some failure. And we're all going to experience failure, but we have to be willing to fail forwards. Show people that you value the tools that kids are using. So as an educator, you should be using social media so that you can, again, find your people. Creativity is a skill that you can develop by working at it continually. Social media allows us to find thinking partners. And we need people to propel us. So we've got to get our PLN built up so that we can get support from people that are, joining us and talking with us on a daily basis. And my 2 more things is that people don't instigate great change or significantly impact others' lives by choosing the familiar path. So you got to put yourself out there and try new things. So my mission to you is to push yourself to try new things, step out of your comfort zone with social media, and expect things to fail from time to time, but be open-minded to learn from those experiences. And I encourage you to try out Voxer, Periscope, and Twitter, and they're all in the iTunes and Google Play stores. So find your people with social media and connect with me. There's my Twitter and Periscope handle, my Voxer handle, and I also have a blog, CassieReader.com.
All right, fantastic, Cassie. Thank you so much for sharing your social media passion with us. That is awesome. So right now, let me see, just looking back at the chat wing, so lots of great conversations going on in there, and great feedback in there, and also on Twitter as well. So people were saying that they are very inspired. So so thank you all so much for sharing your passions with us. Shelly, did you want to jump in with anything?
Hi. I haven't seen any of the questions posted yet. Hopefully you can hear me okay. But let me go ahead and put it back to you, Sarah. But I can read some of the inspiring things that people have been talking about. Okay, so Peggy George says about Marijana, she says that's really saying something when Marijana says fun formative assessments are the passion of her life, and congratulates her that she's been able to do that. And she also says definitely a big difference between assessment and evaluation. So I don't know if Marijana wanted to touch on that, the difference between assessment and evaluation.
Well, that's something. Well, I probably knew that there is a difference, and then when I came across this presentation and the slide, and I thought I definitely need to add it because for me that was also something new. Because this summer I also learned a lot about different types and kinds of assessment. You have like formative and summative would be kind of assessment, but type would be traditional or alternative assessment. So I'm still like really interested into all this topic. I want to I don't know, I want to grasp it and I want to fully understand it. This is just, okay, I'm using Kahoot, I'm using Socrates, but I want to understand it furthermore. And this was actually shared on the presentation by Kelly Warnock. She had this in 2014. It was called An Innovative Assessment for 21st Century, and she shared this comic. And in a way, the evaluation is where I give the student probably the grade, but while in assessment I'm telling you, okay, you did good, but maybe you should improve a bit better, and not just giving him the grade, but maybe saying him, okay, right, you are on the right path, there are a few more things that you need to grasp, or maybe you're doing great, and so on. So there is sometimes for me is also I'm baffled. I quite didn't understand all of the how to say the meanings, but this is quite easy presented, and it's actually it's self-explanatory, I would say. Shelley's probably understands what I want to say. Bože, Peggy, it's people. It's like midnight in Croatia. I don't know what I'm saying.
No problem. We'll give you a break and a chance for the other panelists to respond to you. So Jocelyn says some students don't like the fact you need to have some digital skills, and we need to give a chance with other tools. So would any of the panelists like to respond to that?
I can. I just want to quickly, just about the assessment question. Someone told me, and I love this analogy, that assessment comes from the word assedere, which means to sit beside. So assessment is about the journey. So all those tools that you showed us, Marijana, is about capturing the journey as it happens. And evaluation is the end destination. So I always thought that was a useful analogy. But I'd like to address what Jocelyn said about the fact that you only need to have some digital skills. I think it's so, so important that in our classrooms we focus on face-to-face. I really do. Kids need to know how to collaborate, to share, to take perspectives, but we have to have that conversation alongside digital. We live in a world that is so digital, and so to not be able to have an equal amount of time spent on those skills is doing a disservice to our kids. That's my opinion. And you can tell I'm really passionate about that.
Well, I want to add just a few things, because I was listening to Fabiana and you, Jennifer, and what you said. Actually, my sons are doing that kind of assessment that you were talking about, YouTubers. And when I noticed that in my students, this is just me playing quizzes with them, because most of them even learn through the quizzes or doing something else and trying to use the tools. And I recognize this as a very nice part of assessment, because they learn by doing, and collaboration and peer assessment and other things. But when I recognize that they can show something different, I let them. Why not? And it's a bit difficult. I don't know, there aren't any rubrics. I tried to make my own rubrics. How could I assess this? What kind of mark should I give? Because I'm obliged to give the mark. The parents, the students, my teacher, the headmaster, they're looking for that. So, but definitely it's not the common learning as it was in my days. Like, I just need to read the book, because the students are learning differently. That's totally different. And I would change all the stuff, but then again, I would keep some of the traditional one. And somebody was mentioning in the chat that the students are not, they don't like it, because some students are still afraid of the technology, not all of them, and those who are used to playing quizzes on mobile phones, maybe, it's easy for them to use Kahoot, Socrates, or other tools, while some others, they still have some, I would say, they're scared, but they like it, and when they get the idea of it, they will probably even become better. Maybe somebody else would give more on this topic as well. Thank you. Sorry.
Well, I'm gonna post another comment here. So let's see, we have Veronica Doherty who says that her district does not allow private Facebook, and I know that there's a lot of teachers out there who they're not allowed certain social media sites or tools and things like that. So maybe we can start with Cassie, and then maybe Fabiana or some of the others will give comments on what do you do when your district says, sorry, you can't do it.
Okay, I can talk about that, but I can also talk about the previous comment as well. So I just wanted to say that, like, I feel like it is kind of a challenge now, like where we are, just based on my own experiences, because there will either, I feel like we have so many different levels of teachers. So there's teachers like myself who, like, I'm ready to jump on board and try something new with my kids all the time. And really excited about it, like, hey guys, let's try this. Like, I don't hold anything back. And then you obviously have teachers on the other end of the spectrum where they're like, I'm still using pencil and paper. I mean, I was working with some teachers this week, first grade teachers, and they're like, my kids don't even know how to type on a computer, you know, and there's got to be a balance between those two, I think, where we meet in the middle. But I also think that, you know, you also have to keep the students in mind. And I learned that the hard way, because I would have students who were like really on board with the technology integration that I was using and, you know, really excited. And then I had like 4 or 5 kids who were always like, I'd rather use paper and a pencil and a marker and stuff. And that also becomes something where you have to think about their comfort level. And like you said, Marijana, I think is how you say your name, you know, how to find a way to be open to both what you want them to do as a teacher, but also to what they're comfortable with. And it also has to do with their exposure at home too, because, you know, some of them have the technology, some of them don't. So we have to keep all of these things in mind as a teacher, you know, as we're determining what we're going to be doing with them. And then the other thing that you mentioned, actually, Shelly, can you remind me what you just said? Because I had a thought and now I forgot it now that I started talking.
No problem. So one of the teachers was saying they blocked or they won't allow her to use private Facebook groups. And so what do you do when, because you talked about social media, when your school says you're not allowed to do these things?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually had that experience last year when we were trying to do it at Camp Global Classrooms and we were using Google Hangouts for it. And I was in school for like a good portion of it, and I couldn't do my Google Hangouts very well. So you have to kind of, that's why having a PLN is great, because then you can get resources and other things that you can try, ideas from those people. But yeah, sometimes it does happen where you're blocked on Facebook or you're blocked on Twitter and things like that, and that's why, I guess for me, that's why it is nice to have a PLN who can tell you like similar resources that might actually work in your district. But it's all about buy-in as well, I think, you know, and if you're somebody in your district who knows people in power, or maybe you are more in power than just, I don't know, I hate to say it this way, but like just a classroom teacher, you know, maybe you can start showing them the benefits of using it and allowing it in your district. But it's got to be the buy-in from the district, and they've got to see the reason why it's useful. And not only do you have to have those, you know, higher level people to see the buy-in, but also the students and the parents, because if that's what they want and they'll be able to integrate it effectively into the classroom, then I think that you could maybe get it going and have those opportunities. But I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I know that's valuable information for others. There's another question that came up that says, so the question is, how do you get all teachers to embrace this? So the other problem might be that you're the one doing it, and then all the teachers kind of may either resent you or they just don't want to take that step. So for any of the panelists, how do you get other teachers to embrace this? Balance is key.
Okay, so I can address this, and especially, Cassie, I loved what you said about really considering our learners and where they're at, because you're right. They're not, a lot of kids are not at the point, they do prefer paper and pen, and so we need to have a really good balance of that. But I also think that if our kids are ready and then we're not, that's a problem too, and I think that's where that question came up for me, right? So how do we get those teachers? And I think we need to keep having courageous conversations. I think we can't just close our doors and say, well, I'll do this with my class and you can do whatever you're doing. I think we need to share. We need to talk to parents about the absolutely amazing things that we could be doing with social media in guided ways. We need to show them that we can connect with an astronaut when we're doing our space unit, in a way that we've never been able to do that before. I think these are conversations that have to happen at every level, and I think that it takes leadership to say, you know what, it's great, that you think that it's paper and pen is just fine. And that's okay some of the time, and that's necessary. But I also think it's really important that we move forward together. And so what can I do to support you to move forward? I think we need to really support one another to move forward, and that includes having courageous conversations with people at the district level, and it includes having courageous conversations with parents. We on panel understand how absolutely amazing and transformative social media can be for learning. And so we just need to keep spreading that message, I think.
Another question, some good points there, and another question is from Jocelyn. Do you use social media under 13? And I think, suggestions here of how to use it with students under 13 would be important, because I know certain ones you can. And then the other part of the question is, if so, how do you get parents how do you get parents on board with that?
Maybe I can answer just quickly this question. I work in high school, and we have the parents' agreement as well, even though students are 14 or 15 years of age. But we wanted to notify the parents that the students are already on Facebook, and that the teacher is going to have a Facebook private group or any other group, or maybe on Google Plus communities or Twitter or something like that. They should be aware that this is only used for educational purposes, where we can quickly communicate. We have this signed by students when they come to school and so on. Regarding under 13, definitely I noticed many colleagues in Croatia have been not using properly, because they would become friends with students. They're under 13, and I noticed that I told them I'm teaching high school students and I'm not friends with them, because I don't need to be friends with them, because in private Facebook groups you don't need to be friends with them. You just add them into a group and you're administrating that. On the other side, I think that I wouldn't use Facebook or maybe Google Plus communities with students which are under 13. I would rather prefer Edmodo, because I don't know, that is something that I notice many of my colleagues use. And since I'm from Europe as well, we have eTwinning, which has been one of the great social media for doing projects online. So this is just my opinion, and maybe somebody could add a few more other things.
I just wanted to add that I did use, so I taught 3rd grade, and I used, we didn't have Facebook, but I used Twitter with my students, but I had a Twitter account that I would manage, so like they weren't actually doing the typing or any of that stuff, but we would share out thoughts and stuff like that, and we would be connected with other classrooms, so I would be in control of who was, who we were friends with and who was seeing our things and stuff like that. And then, as you guys mentioned, I also had a parent contract that they all signed, and I explained to them what we were going to be doing with the parents at like Meet the Teacher Night, and they all signed it. So I think, again, if you have that, the buy-in with them and you show them the value of it, I think that's kind of where you start. But I also did periscopes with my students. And when I did that, I would make them a private Periscope, and I would only Periscope with another teacher friend. And my kids loved that, and it was really nice because they could talk to each other, you know, like they could type out questions and stuff, and we could answer them, but really nobody else was allowed to see except for the class that we were Periscoping to. So that was something that we did, and it was nice because it was private. And then after we did our Periscopes, I would delete them. I would save them to my phone so that I could keep them and share them with parents and stuff, but I would delete them so that they were for sure like not available for other people to see.
If I could just jump in, I love that, Cassie. And what I love about that, and it's certainly one of the strategies that I'm talking about in the book, is that when you're using social media with kids that are under 13 in such a guided way, and you're giving students the opportunity to help you sort of construct something and put a post out, you're actually
Jennifer, can you unmute yourself again? Sorry, I don't know, somehow it got muted. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay. So did you hear anything that I just said? No. Okay. So I just wanted to, sorry, I just wanted to say how much I really loved what you had to share, Cassie, because I think that when we engage in guided opportunities with kids like that, the way you did, you're basically empowering them. These are some of the strategies I share in the book, but they are seeing how to put together a post. You know, you probably had to delete and add things. I know there are some teachers who purposefully make a mistake when they post something on Twitter so that they can delete it and put it out again to show kids that if you put something out there and you realize it's a mistake, you can take it back. Kids don't have the opportunity to learn about those kinds of things if we're not engaging in social media opportunities. So do we need to find alternatives if Facebook is blocked? Yes. But we also need to somehow give them the space to play in social media. I don't know about your countries, ladies, but increasingly, the more I talk to my friends, kids are on social media sites of some form, like when they're 9 years old, 10 years old, way below the 13 age restriction. So, you know, and that's a parent's right. But to say that because it only says 13 not to engage in a guided way with kids, I think we need to help them navigate these spaces. But beyond that, we need to model how they can use these spaces in really awesome ways. You know, post a positive tweet to one person a day. Like, what are you teaching your kids when you're doing that? You're showing them that you can use social media to make the life of someone else happier or make their day. And you can do that with any social media.
I'm just asking this question because I was just thinking it, but why is it 13? Like, who determines 13? And, you know, it's just such
a lot of the user agreements say 13, that's why.
But why?
Yeah, so in my research, they are 13 is this arbitrary, they're teens now. And so what a lot of articles are saying, actually, because I just did a social media and education course for my master's, that they're saying actually what they're basically making people lie because lots of people are using it even though they're not 13. And it's arbitrary. Like there's you could have a 13-year-old that should not have a social media account, or you can have a 9-year-old that is very mature and can. So they just need to make sure that they're being transparent and they're trying to do their best to ensure that they're reaching the safeguard of people. But you can be on those sites with the permission of parents for some of them. You know, even YouTube. I mean, if you look at the fine print, YouTube is 13 plus. But how many kids do you see on YouTube when they're younger? So it literally is, from my reading, an arbitrary number because technically they're teens.
I think the other point too is it depends on the other countries too, and I know some sites will even say 18, like Grammarly, and that really surprised me because I thought, Grammarly, why would you have to be 18? But that is their requirement. I did want to speak for Fabiana. Fabiana unfortunately hasn't has she's in Argentina, and they're having power outages, so that's why you haven't heard her talk as much. But I know one thing that she did with her students, when she wasn't able to access social media, and also with the lack of technology, is she's been very successful using tools like Padlet. I think Padlet's a great way to engage learners. They can all collaborate on it. You can give password protection. They don't have to register. So these are all the benefits. So if you are in a country where you can only use one kind of tool, Fabiana has a lot on, using Padlet, and that's how she's gotten her students to post discussions on drunk driving and other issues like that. So you can use it as, as a social wall and things like that. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, and then we're going to head out to our closing session. But I'd like each of the panelists that are here, and we'll start with Cassie, and then go to Jennifer, and then Marijana, and just give us like one piece of advice or one takeaway for our audience today.
Okay, so my piece of advice is to try something new and put yourself into a growth mindset and be willing to fail forwards and learn from it.
Love that. My advice would be to empower our students to have their voice heard. I would love to see more of us celebrate students who are leveraging social media in positive ways. Celebrate that, recognize that, and good brings good. Let's have more of that.
Listening to you all saying this, I would definitely say the same things, and never stop learning, always try to explore, and just as you said, listen to your students, because they can amaze you. And the best thing is don't be afraid of learning from your students, because they teach us many other things, and it's fun to be around them. And the younger actually they start, they will become more mature later on, and if they start even later, I would say, then there is even a chance of them they are going to do something. Who knows? But as Jennifer said, maybe even they start when they are 9 and they are mature enough, they could be. They will not make any mistakes. So learn, have fun, and I don't know, just enjoy teaching them. I don't know. Yeah, we could go on until, okay, ladies, it will be Monday soon in Croatia, so. Yeah, I think it was really interesting, and I don't know what else to add. It was great to have equal opinions on this, and I'm so happy to actually ended up with you today.
Well, we are so glad to have all of you here and sharing your passions, sharing your great expertise, and just great takeaways and insights on the topic. So definitely love this great conversation. I know Shelly was about to say something, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it right back over to her.
I was going to say, Sarah, you want to close us out, drop the mic.
All right. So great minds think alike. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this session so that we can go to the closing. So just follow us over to the closing page, but definitely love the conversation. Just so much great insight shared. So thank you all so very much. So see you on the other side.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.